Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this awesome call here with Coach Greg Waggoner. If you've not had a chance to meet this guy, go stalk him on social because he is a legit dude that you need to know for sure. Greg, thanks for taking a few minutes here to chat with me today about stuff that's coming up for PeloFondo and Capstone.
Yeah, pleasure. It's been too long, man. It's
It
been we
has
got a
been, man.
we got a lot of catching up to do, huh?
I know for sure. You've been around the PeloFondo and Summit space for what, probably 2, 3 years now, right?
Oh, definitely. Maybe even longer than that. I think. Yeah, you and I started talking a long time ago before you had the Summit app and
Yeah.
putting some of the programs together, the climb
Yep. Yeah, you
and
helped me you helped me test and perfect that climb for sure. I'm super grateful for that. You've been instrumental in a lot of things that we've been doing here across the span of the Summit ecosystem. And so I'm really grateful for your involvement in this community. I want everybody else who hasn't had a chance to hear your story or meet you yet. I want them to know a little bit about how we got connected and a little bit about your history. So you are the head coach for cycling over at Team Wilpers. I would love for you just to kind of introduce yourself, how you got connected with all of that, your cycling history and whatnot.
whoa, that's a long story. All right.
It is.
Anyway, so yeah, I was living in New York City as and working as a personal trainer and working as a cycling coach. And a young man named Matt Wilpers joined my team a long time ago, and man, we had a great time just training and racing together. And I like to say he liked what we were doing so much with power training, everything, that he quit his job to become a coach. I don't know if that's the full story, but that's how I like to say it.
Yeah.
Um, and so the folks who know who he is what a great story that he is super smart and what an awesome guy. Well, in 2019, he approached me with a business idea of Team Wilpers and coaching athletes that are on the Peloton. And so we started working with athletes who were in the Peloton world, and I think one of those athletes introduced you and me to each other after first, second, or third PeloFondo,
That
and
sounds right.
pretty soon teams were getting a hold of me to coach and prepare them for the competition aspect of PeloFondos. And so that all came around, and now full circle, we at Team Wilpers have a Team Wilpers cycling. So it's a free training plan that anyone can join, and we do periodized training, whether you're competitive, whether you're not competitive, whether you're training for a Pelofondo, whether you're not. This is a structured training plan that you can get in and join, and there's a community over there. Team Wilpers Cycling is the name of the Facebook group, and what an awesome way to train within a community, yet still do it on your own time.
Yeah, we've seen a
Uh,
lot of success over the past few years in group training, even just outside of like the formalized and structured training, teams getting together and working together towards that common goal, the accountability that shows up there and all of that is fascinating. So really cool that you guys are doing that. How long are your training blocks on average?
we're doing a 4 week one right now. We just did two 6 week ones, and there's some 8 week ones. So we have all of next year periodized out to peak a couple of times and even show up to a couple of events. And I think one does line up right pretty well with the April Pelofondo. So if anyone here is thinking of doing the April Pelofondo, our training plan will bring you to that event ready to go without changing anything. So
Nice.
yeah, that'll work out really well. So we have all lengths, and I'm shooting for no breaks between them. So it's just continuous programming. You don't have to wonder what you should do between training blocks.
Yeah,
So it's all laid out for you.
that's awesome. I love that. One of the big reasons I wanted to get you on this call today is to kind of help talk through some preparations for Capstone, which is there's a lot of folks that have heard of Pelofondo and they know what that is. Capstone is probably a new phrase to some people, but really it's just our big 5 year anniversary of Pelofondo. So it's our really fun big 5 year event that we're rolling out January 27th, 28th. And it's it's going to be super exciting. There's a lot of energy behind it, but I wanted to pick your brain for a few minutes on the timing here, right? Because we're heading
Yeah.
right into the holidays, which is a brutal time for training for most people. So let's let's chat through some coach tips and tricks here for making it through the holiday season. What are things that folks should be thinking about and keeping in mind, for Capstone, this is the first time we've ever set a community-wide goal as well. And so we're shooting for 1,000,000 miles in 48 hours, which
Ooh.
is which is helping a lot of people want to push for potentially some of the longest distances they've ever done on the bike. So we have an interesting combination here of folks that are really wanting to stretch, but also this timeline where there's a lot of mixed things going on in the calendar. So what would be some things that you would recommend people think about here over the coming, 60-ish days?
Yeah, sure. And so I'm gonna put my coach hat on here, even though it's already on. I'm gonna put my coach hat on, and you're my athlete,
I'll bring it on,
Landon. And
man.
so you have Capstone coming up. First of all, what is it? What is it? 2 days? Is it one day? I mean, what are you looking to do,
Sure. So the event
and
itself is
when?
a 48-hour span. Okay. So you have essentially from midnight on Friday night to midnight on Sunday night to complete whatever distance goal you want. It's essentially a grand fondo, a virtual grand fondo that can be done indoors or outdoors or a combination of both. So considering the time here, January, most people are going to be doing this indoors, and most of our folks are Peloton riders. So generally speaking,
January
folks are,
end of. Is there a date on it?
yeah, it's January 27th and 28th. So right at the end of
Okay, gotcha.
January. So
Perfect.
you
Perfect. Okay.
basically choose your distance goal that you want to hit and just go for it, right? A lot of
And
folks are
log your
riding as a
miles.
part of a team. Some folks aren't. They just want to get on and go for it on their own, and that's fine. But there's a
All
little bit of
right.
something for everybody, and the whole point is distance.
Cool. So, what? I'm going to treat you as the athlete. Where are you right now? What's your current fitness level? What are you doing currently? Are you riding 5 times a week, 4 times a week? Not at all.
I'm doing some cross training right now. So I'm actually going between running, rowing, and cycling currently. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and so it's been wicked hot throughout the summer. I'm finally getting to the point where it's, in December, it's now fall, and we're getting some decent weather to go ride outside. So I'm doing that primarily right now. I've not been doing really any indoor cycling within the last, I would say 2 months probably. But
Okay.
rowing, running have also been a part of my regimen there. But in terms of distance, I've actually, come backwards quite a bit on that. I usually can do, 100, 120 miles across a weekend, not too difficult. I haven't really stretched to that in a while, but I'm probably going to be pushing to do somewhere 150 miles for my capstone.
Okay, yeah, nice. That answers my next question is where where are you right now? It sounds like you're fit, you're doing some things, but not necessarily specific to the bicycle, but we can change that. You've got what is it, 6 weeks
Yeah, there's
ish
about
till the
56 days, I think, as of
all
recording
right, so
this.
it's still a nice amount of time. You've got a full training block, a full typical training block, and your goal is 150 miles over 2 days.
Yeah.
So we want to work backwards from that. And 2 weeks beforehand, if you can sneak in 100 miles or 75% of that goal in the weekend,
Hmm.
and the weekend before that. So 2 weeks before though, that's when your hardest workout is before capstone. Okay, not 1 week, but you need 2 full weeks to really recover and taper and let all the training sink in. But if you can do 3 progressive weeks leading up to that hardest week, that means you need 4 full weeks, right? No, 5 full weeks. So 1, 2, and 3 long weekends, and then a weekend off. Not off, but bringing it way down
Hmm.
to 35-40% of your goal, and then capstone. So that's kind of the progression of the longer volume specific riding that you need to do. And then in addition to that, you probably need 2 or 3 rides during the week. You can keep on cross training right through it,
Hmm.
but if you're getting 2 rides 45 to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour midweek, and it has some thought to it, structure, and working on some intervals to build up the speed. Early January, I think that makes sense. So you're in good shape, being that this is a good 7 weeks beforehand, if you can get on it right now. But working backwards, get a calendar out and work backwards from your goal is the way to go. Some other things to think about. I would talk to you about executing on that day, but let's start where we are right now, and think about how you're going to get through the holidays. What do you got going on? Are you traveling? Are you got family coming to see you? How are you going to get your workouts in the next couple days, the next couple weeks? I got a vacation. I was just away for Thanksgiving. I'm going away again this week. My training is, but that's all planned. I don't have anything on my schedule until April, so no problem. But if you're looking at Capstone at the end of January, you need to have a plan. You need to get up early and do your rides. You need to get to bed early. You have to have a time. You have to have your family on board. Hey, I'm going to be on my bike at this time. It's just 45 minutes, or it's just an hour, or it is longer. Get it all out there so it doesn't surprise anybody.
Right.
Does that sound doable for you? Can you do that?
Yeah,
through the holidays?
that all makes sense.
Any other obstacles you're thinking of through the holidays that I'm not thinking of?
Well, I mean, there's always the unknowns, right? That's the big thing, is the unknowns. Everything, family throws everything off, and you can plan all you want, but then stuff shows up, right? And it just does, no matter how much you plan and prepare for it. So I guess the question too is, like, if someone is looking at really kind of setting a good goal for themselves for January, they start getting into the holidays, they're doing well, but then something happens and they get off their schedule, right? What happens next? Like, you get through, December 25th, and you're starting to get into January. Do you reassess your goal if you've had to take a couple weeks off? Do you change the way that you look at stacking the next couple of weeks in terms of intensity? What would be your recommendation if somebody just kind of falls off a little bit for a couple of weeks?
Well, reassess is the key word. What made you fall off? If you're sick for a couple weeks or injured, then yeah, maybe reassess the goal. There's no way maybe you can come back. If you were just pulled away from family or work, then is that going to happen? Is that going to continue? Where is your fitness level? That's why I ask, where are you right now? And if you're going from off the couch and you've never really done anything to 150 miles, well, that's maybe doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
you can normally pull out 120 miles in a weekend. So to stretch to 150 miles is not really that big of a stretch. Sure, it's going to be a challenge, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you miss 2 weeks because holidays, family, travel, you're sporadically here and there, drinking too much, not sleeping well, January 1, make the resolution and get it clean. After that, you still have 4 good weeks after that, or 3 good weeks after that to really bring the real Landon to the event day.
Right. So talk a little bit more about that taper week too, because I don't think many people think about that in terms of training up and stacking towards an event. You think more, and then maybe take a couple days off leading into the event weekend. Be specific on what people should be looking to do for those last 2 weeks.
For an event like this, with the gold standard being 100 plus miles in a weekend, that's a lot of volume. And to train up to that, I really think you need 2 full weeks to let all of that training sink in and make the adaptations. Maybe even more. If you've done it before, you might even try more than that. But your hardest workout being 2 weeks before the event gives you 2 full weeks to really bring the volume down. Not necessarily the intensity. You can still be doing zone 4, zone 5 intervals, maybe even a little zone 6 intervals. Nothing too crazy, but bringing the volume back down a little bit. So if you're shooting for 150 miles and you ride 100 miles to 120 miles 2 weeks before, that weekend prior to Capstone, let's call it 70 miles, less than half of what your goal event is. And that should be easy.
Yeah. I want to make an important distinction here too for people that are watching this, Pelofondo and Capstone is not just about shooting for 100+ miles. We've got a lot of folks that are hitting a wide spread of mileage. I mean, this could be, 35 miles for some folks, maybe the biggest achievement of their life. And that's great. If you commit 35 miles, commit to that and let's do it, right? There's no hard mileage requirement for participation in the event. And so hearing numbers like 100 or 150 miles shouldn't be a deterrent from participation. But let's also talk about the crew that may not be pushing for the, really high end mileage. What if we're looking for a 35 to 50 mile goal? What does that look like?
Yeah, and good point. Good point. I was talking to Landon, the athlete, and Greg, the athlete, who might also shoot for 150 if it were me. But yeah, the 35 milers. That's my favorite group with that type of mileage. You guys are killing it. It's the same thing though. Yeah, it's time on the bike, time in the saddle, which your body is still fresh and making adaptations. So maybe the percentages are a little higher. And if it's 35 miles, let's say it's a 3-hour ride, you can really taper down a little quicker from something like that. So I still like that same formula though, with the hardest ride being 2 weeks before the event. Your fitness sinks in, you're eating clean, you're drinking lots of fluids, and you're sleeping good, you're keeping stress to a minimum. All of that comes into play when you're trying to taper and peak for this event.
Yeah. Let's lean into that for a couple minutes here. So nutrition, hydration, both before, during, and after, recovery. Let's hit those for a few.
So fueling, just as important as training for the event. You need to have a fueling strategy. If you are riding multiple hours, you need to have a carbohydrate fueling strategy. Your body runs on sugars, carbohydrates while you're working out. So start with 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates, and there's many products out there. Maple syrup, honey, packets, gel packets, any of these things. That's what they're meant for. Pick the ones with natural ingredients, if possible. Get quality things. That's why Vermont. Sorry, we go for pure maple syrup. That works well. But that and a Cliff Bar would get me through any long ride usually.
Yeah.
Hydration also important. If you're riding indoors, you're sweating a lot. Even if you have the fans on, you're losing lots of fluids. So I like a water bottle. What's that? 50, 60 ounces of water per hour at least. And if you are going multiple hours, it's okay to put some product in it. And so there's two separate though. You can go with a hydration product with the electrolytes. And I think the Noon tablets are big in a lot of the communities. So the hydration tablets, or you can put calories in your water. So a product I like to recommend is Scratch, or basically it's glucose. It's glucose and fructose and a combination of that. So that puts the most amount of calories possible in your drinking water. Then you don't have to think about taking calories in, but it's a big help.
Yeah. There's another company as well, Zim. I'm not sure. Have you ever used Zim's products?
No, I haven't.
Man, so I used Noon for a while, and then I started using Zim's stuff. And there's a lot of folks that I've talked to that much prefer Zim over Noon. And it really is personal preference, right? Zim is a big proponent of what we do here as well. And they actually give all of the PeloFondo riders 50% off of their products.
Nice. Okay.
So if you guys want to try it, this is another important note though. Don't try it just on event weekend. Like if you're going to use, any kind of supplementation, whether it's nutrition, gels or hydration or anything like that, that needs to come in your training. So, and you can speak to this better than I can for sure.
That was the point, is to try that out. So on these long weekends leading up to the event, so a good month ahead of time, you're trying nutrition, you're trying hydration, and you have a concrete, tried and true plan. Because if your stomach doesn't like honey stingers, you don't want to find that out
Mm-hmm.
on event day. You want to know what you're going to have to fuel and to hydrate when the time comes.
Yeah.
And so another thing, I'll just jump right in. You want to have everything set. So how about the space where you're doing your event? Yeah, sure, you go and ride every day, and that's where maybe you do your workouts. But do you need to have a change of shorts because this is an exceptionally long ride? Do you need to have extra towels laid out? Do you need to let your family know you're going to be in the basement riding your bike for 5 hours instead of the normal 1 hour? And can they be supportive? You know, the best stories I hear when your kid comes down and brings you a cookie because you've been on your bike for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So what about a predetermined playlist? You know, if you're playing music or watching movies, or what's going to keep you going through the rides? Get that settled ahead of time. How about I think you do class lists, right? Or the community
Mm-hmm.
does
Yeah.
class lists on the Peloton so people can pick, and just get that all set so you're not fumbling around on event day. It should be well thought out. Anything else in that space you can think of? What else do we need to think of?
No, I think that all makes sense. Change of clothes. I think that's one of the most overlooked things that I've seen from folks in the past is the freshness that can come with a change of clothes and getting back on dry.
Yeah, totally. Two
Makes a
two
big
hours,
difference.
new shorts. 2 hours,
Yeah.
new shorts. Repeat.
One more thing definitely that we need to hit on is recovery after all of this, right? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think definitely plan on a transition period. You know, you're going to taper throughout the coming weeks up to it. So you might not be so fatigued, but doing the event, if you're really pushing, and this is a big goal event and you're pushing for speed on it as well, you could be wiped out. You also could be mentally fatigued. You know, you've done a lot of prep, spent hopefully at least the next 7 weeks, and it's been pretty consuming. So give yourself at least a week to transition with no expectations over what your performance is in that week. You don't have to get on and follow structure. You can ride a little bit if you want. You can stay off the bike altogether if you want. Stay active. Always stay active. Maybe hit the strength workouts a little bit
Mhm.
until you have your next goal to start working on. But give yourself a good week to really transition away from the event and slowly, gradually get into the next training phase.
Yeah, that's great. Any
Yeah.
other thoughts, tips, or tricks as we're heading through this holiday season?
No, you know what? I just tried to imagine you, since I'm talking to you, being with your family and arranging your workouts, and just talk about it. You know, with your significant other or your whoever is going to be there, and you being taking time away to train whoever it's going to impact. Talk it through with them. Look, this
Yeah.
is what I'm training. This is what I'm training for, and try and get them the support. It's way better than when are you going to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's way better to have the support rather than, and then it's a positive thing all the way around.
Yeah. 100%.
And no better feeling in the world than if you have the support of your family and friends, that you go and accomplish your goal and feel good about it and enjoy that feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, what a cool event. I mean, that's how many people do we think are going to do Capstone?
I don't know how many people there are going to be. That's not one that I'm willing to project, but the goal is as many as possible, right?
And from
This is
all over the world. That's amazing.
It is. Yeah, the whole time zone thing is really fun to watch. The Australia has had a whole bunch more involvement over the last year. So, Australia, Germany, the UK, all the way across, every time zone in the US and Canada. And I think last event there were 28 countries participating in this one. So it's a blast to be a part of. I hope as many folks as can will come and join us. It's going to be a party, right? 5 years of celebration. So come
That's
and
awesome.
join us on that. If you haven't registered, I'll have a link in the description and comments below. And I'd love to give everybody a direct line of contact for you as well. Is Team Wilpers, is there a way for them to contact you through that? Or do you want them to connect with you on social? Or what's the best way for people to get to you?
Yeah, I think just the Team Wilpers website. So teamwilpers.com is go on there and you can drop a note to Team Wilpers and get to me. Also join our Facebook group, the Team Wilpers Cycling Facebook group, and I do weekly briefings there that talk about our training and our programming. So everybody is welcome to join that training, and that's a solid way to get your midweek rides.
Yeah.
If you're training for this larger event, maybe you need more on the weekend, but maybe not. Maybe an hour is all you need for right now for your goal, and it might be the boost, the accountability, the structure that you need to bring you a little bit more ready. So I think give that a look. So Team Wilper Cycling Facebook group, give that a look and join that, and drop me a note there if I can be helpful.
Love it. Coach Greg, thank you so much, sir, for your friendship and your involvement over the past few years. I'm excited to see where everything is going. And hopefully this is a great, successful event for everybody involved.
Yeah, pleasure. What fun. Thanks as always.